Hello, my beautiful co-creators. Lilu here on the GC Living Tour in Hawaii today, actually in Oahu, in Waikiki, is that right?
We're in Waikiki.
And I'm today with Dr. Len Horowitz. I'm very, very excited to be sitting here with you. I've seen so many of your YouTube videos circulating, and even more so excited about this topic of this video and of your next book, the 528. The book of 528, is that right?
Right.
The keys to prosperity and love?
Yeah, but it's the key to prosperity. And really it is the love frequency. According to massive amounts of evidence, it's the heart of everything in the universe, including your heart and God's heart.
So tell us more about that. What is the knowledge that we have forgotten that the wealthiest on this planet have not? There's something along those lines, isn't there?
Well,
also,
actually, this is it exactly. And when you talk about the wealthiest on the planet, we call them the Illuminati, the international banking community. And what they do is they have an alphanumerics and that they use codes, the alphanumerics, like the old gematria had every number had a letter or a letter had a number associated with it. And so you look at the infamous or famous 666 or Route 66, America's Highway, or Phillips 66. Well, you go back to 528 and you take an octave lower, which is half of 528, it's 264. And half of 264, another octave lower, is 132, and half of 132 is 66. Is Route 66 is 66, and it's actually a manifestation number. It's nothing satanic because God created all the numbers. So it's really the manipulators of God's language, if you will, is math, and the creation of language. The first language, of course, being the the ancient sacred languages of Aramaic, Sanskrit, and then Hebrew followed, and then later the creation of the English language, where now we know alphanumerically English is Hebrew flipped backwards 100%. So in creation, we talk about musical mathematics, and in the musical math of creation, you can suppress who we are spiritually, in every way, by manipulating the creative frequencies of resonance. And so that's why 528, the book of 528, Prosperity Key of Love, is really, I think it's, gee whiz, you know, I hate to say that it's on par with aspects of the Bible because it fulfills Bible prophecy. It is directed by the Creator. We are at a time in history where it is said in the Old Testament and the New Testament, in Isaiah 22:22, and in the book of Revelation 3:6 through 8, you have this key being heralded. It's called the key to the house of David, and it is supposed to be heralding the awakening, the mass awakening of what really, truly, Jesus' ministry was all about. That is, awakening the love in our hearts and transforming this sick and sad planet into something that is far more honorable and far more sustainable.
What can we do to reverse that curse? Or something that we were born into, I guess, and not had the privilege to tune into? Is that what it is? Yeah,
we've all been born into this culture. We're actually involved in the Western culture heavily, and this cult suppressed the music, if you will. It's really completely out of the movie animation Yellow Submarine. If you remember the plot of Yellow Submarine, you had this magnificent, creative, artistic community and heavily involved in music. It was central to the community. And they're full, living, loving, colorful, creative people suddenly have the blue meanies come, and first thing they do is they suppress the music. They enslave Sgt. Pepper and his Lonely Hearts Club Band. They steal the instruments and they put the instruments in jail. And then the colorful, living, loving community turns to fragile black and white, where their bombs, green apples, and other frequency resonating bombs hit, and they shatter the people. They're frozen in black and white. And so that's how the Pepperlanders are killed, and one person escapes in that movie, goes into the future, gets the Beatles, and they go back in a yellow submarine, and the first thing that they do to save the population is free the instruments and start playing the music. That's the same exact metaphor of what we're talking about. In 1938 it started. 1939 it was completed. The Rockefeller Foundation, through the British Standards Institute, institutionalized the Western world's music to a standard frequency of A440. So if you go to any concert, typically concert tuning is A440, all the instruments are tuned to it. And what that does essentially is suppress the heart and every chakra below the heart, and stimulates every chakra above the heart, including the pineal gland, which is the seat of consciousness. It's also the seat of ego, egocentrism. It's the god of science. It regulates, it dominates all of the culture. So we're no longer honoring the arts. We're no longer honoring, as it should be, the beautiful artists and the composers who are tuned into their heart and into that love as a creative expression, a divine expression. And that ultimately, to free that, you just want to release the music, free the music. And that's what we've done with 528records.com. If you go to 528records.com, which is also i528tunes.com, what you've got there is a transposition service. Freely, it's by donation, and you can basically then transpose all of your MP3 files, any CD that you've purchased and you've bought on, let's say, iTunes, a MP3 file, you can upload it, and it gets transposed and it gets downloaded to you, and then you can then spread the music. And it's not only helpful and healing to you, because this is medicinal music, but it's also something when you understand we're living in a hydrated atmosphere. There's water all around us, even right now. You know, it's different state as what we're looking at the ocean, but it is equally hydrated, if you will, and that the frequency resonance, since water is a liquid crystal superconductor of sound and light, then the frequencies, as you play that music, it's freeing to everybody, because the vibrations, like a pebble in a pond, ripples out to the farthest shores and touches everybody's hearts. And that's what the key to the House of David is really, in my opinion, prophesied to do. It is to open people's hearts and fulfill Jesus's mission and ministry, which was a sect of Judaism that was dedicated to love and truth and righteousness, and the practice of prayer through faith creates miracles. We are now looking at the key to all of that. That is 528.
So is it only through music though? Or there's something else?
It's throughout everything. Yeah. Okay, so let me give you first of all the best definition of who you are. Based on all the science, based on all the revelation, you are a digital, bioholographic precipitation, crystallization, miraculous manifestation of divine frequency vibrations coming out of water. The entire universe, all space is full of water. In the beginning, you go back into Genesis. In the beginning, you had the Creator, and you had the water at the same time. In Genesis 1:2, you had the Creator hover, the Spirit, Holy Spirit of the Creator, it says in Genesis 1:2, hovered over the face of the water, divided the water from the water, into which the words are sounds. Sounds are electromagnetic frequencies. What's that? Again, simple mathematics. Words, let there be light, was spoken. Out pops the sun. Very similar to what you see the dolphins do with the sonoluminescence. Underwater, they play with bubble rings, they heat it up sonically, and out pops light. Same concept. So you are made from music, and everything else in the universe is likewise. There's 9 core creative frequencies. In fact, these are the perfect circle of sound. This is called the perfect circle of sound. There's 9 notes that creates everything in the universe. The third note in that sequence is 528. The old original solfeggio, ancient musical scale that had 6 notes. These are 9 now. It completes the circle. But the first notes were not do, re, mi, but ut, re, mi. Mi stands for miragistorum in Latin, or miracles in English. So the miracle note of the universe is love. The miracle note of the universe is 528 hertz frequency, and it's the heart of everything. It's the heart of the rainbow, greenish yellow. It's apparently the heart of the sound spectrum too, when you'd consider the entire sound spectrum. But if you simply look around and you see all of, especially in Hawaii here, you see the greenish yellow color everywhere. It is the selected color for chlorophyll, of which the sacred geometry of chlorophyll, it looks like really the central portion of chlorophyll, which is just like hemoglobin, except it has a magnesium and instead of iron. You have the same structure, the same chemistry as the hemoglobin, which carries what? Oxygen, gives us life, the breath of life. So in other words, here's what you've got going on. You've got that sun that's created by the words, sounds, frequency, resonating 100% hydrogen. Hydrogen is the electron donor, like the chemistry of water is H plus OH minus equals H2O. The H plus means that it's donated an electron to the oxygen. So now what you've got is the entire universe is piezoelectric. In other words, every action, whenever there's anything moving anywhere, whether it's the blink of your eye or whether it's a cosmic event, it's because of electrons. And so water is donating those electrons, and the sun is beaming those electrons in both sound and light. The rainbow reflects that. At the heart of the rainbow is 528 hertz. And what's taking place is that chlorophyll molecule, which is receiving that love, literally vibrating it crystallography-wise, bioholographically into the structure that's selected by all of nature to be the principal energy-carrying pigment and transforming pigment to transform the love of the sun into the oxygen that we breathe. So the aloha actually intimately connects to ancient Hebrew and what I'm talking about. The aleph in the beginning, the aloha is the beginning. The O is the omega, alpha omega. At the heart of the beginning and the end is the lamed, the love in Hebrew. It's the 11th letter of 22. It's the heart of the alphabet. And what you then also get is the the aloha. So in other words, aloha really means from the beginning to the end, there is love carried by the breath of life. And so that's what's taking place. You've got the chlorophyll, greenish yellow pigment structured out of 528 hertz because, again, without 528, you wouldn't have 5,280 feet in a measured mile. You wouldn't have a circle. You wouldn't have a square. You would have no sacred geometry. You wouldn't have the pyramids. You wouldn't have the structuring of water. And so this is pi and phi and Fibonacci series and all of the sacred geometry by which organic chemistry, for example, is made. Organic chemistry, what's the ring? The organic chemistry ring is six-sided hexagonal shape, just like chlorophyll. Okay, so the central function of love is to create this incredible diversity, and then you have some other aspects within nature, within God's musical scale, that are in dissonance. And based on what I've been able to gather from all of this, is that we have been given the choice. And we need to make the choice to either choose love or choose something less. And that's ultimately a major part of the revelation and the lesson. I mean, it's not a revelation for most people to understand the power of choice and our own human will and the potential for it to be aligned with what the Creator wants for us to evolve into, you know, to fulfill our destinies, which is far better than constant war, starvation, and intoxication. So I think we've got a choice to make right now. These are the end times. A lot of people are saying that, and a lot of people are feeling the crunch. And the choice that needs to be made now is one exactly what Jesus was talking about. It's about love.
What brought you to the 528?
Well, the first initial 528 revelation came from Dr. Joseph Polio back in 1996. Dr. Polio was praying to Jesus after he failed to get this information. He was looking for the original musical scale, 6 notes by which the ancient hymn to St. John the Baptist was sung. each note was 1 degree higher. Each note had something to do with, again, spiritual uplift. Now we understand it has something to do with aligning your chakras and energizing your body to be a spiritual vessel that will receive divine communications and being uplifted and healed miraculously. That's ultimately what this information has as a promise to it. Because again, when you're in sync or when you're in divine communion, there's nothing missing, nothing broken in the kingdom of heaven, says the religious world. That's exactly correct. 528 is atonement. You've heard of atonement. It's the Jewish holiday. It's the most important and sacred holiday, where you spend a day fasting to become one with God. So look at the word. It also means a tone meant. A musical note meant. And it's also at one meant to be at one. So you've got those 3 different meanings of atonement, and 528 is that key. Because if you think of it this way, tuning into a radio station on your digital dial, if you tune 1/10 of a hertz off of, let's say, 528, you get static. But if you're tuned into 528, you're going to get a clear channel broadcast of whatever the transmitter is transmitting. And so if we understand God is loving, and if we understand this magnificent universe is created far beyond what our wildest imaginations can realize or manifest, and we realize that there's a perfection and a balance that we're witnessing all around us, including some natural ways to destroy and or maintain harmony, we have to realize that there is a major musical mathematical component to creation, of which 528 is fundamental, it's central, and according to everything that I'm looking at, it is love, it is atonement, it is the key that's heralded at these times for the House of David that frees humanity from the petrochemical pharmaceutical toxicity and the energy industrial slavery.
Boy, you go for it, fully into it. The time is now, isn't it? There's no better time than now.
Absolutely.
I love how there is the 8 also that represents femininity, isn't it? There's divine feminine energy too coming with that.
Well, actually, that's a major part of the whole revelation. Is it's just disgusting how the feminine sex, and I think investigative journalist Sherry Kane is marvelous at articulating this. She is an expert in looking at the psychosocial pathology of this male-female divide. And 8s are actually God's number. It's the infinity sign. It is the combination. When you put 6 over 9 or 9 over 6, you have an 8. And this whole concept of 6 9s and 8s are very, very central. 3s, 2 3s, one back and forth is an 8, and also it's the 6 9. So Nikola Tesla, who is last century's greatest genius, taught his students, this is a quote, if humanity only knew the power of the 3 6s and 9s, it would be a completely different universe, end quote. And he followed along by saying that. He followed the masters and mentors of old, of Da Vinci's mentorship, Plato, Pythagoras, Aristotle, Vitruvius. They held that the powers of the 3 6s, 9s, and 8s were the extraordinary set. And now we know, based on Marco Rodin's math, Rodin is an extraordinary genius mathematician who has advanced the matrix of the universe based on simple mathematical patterns, of which is what we're talking about. There's 9 core creative frequencies. Marco Rodin's math proves that these 9 core creative frequencies are precisely what he calls his family group numbers. They all resolve into 3 6s and 9s. There's, like, for example, the 3 9 6. Okay, so you add the 3 and the 6, that's a 9. 9 and 9 is 18. 1 plus 8, therefore, is 9. Or 4 1 7, where you've got 4 plus 8, that's 12. Then 1 plus 2, there's 3. So there's a 9, 3, and then, of course, the 6. 5 2 8. 5 plus 2 is 7, plus 8 is 15. 1 plus 5 is 6. So that's a 6. So it goes 3, 9, 6, 3, 9, 6. So you see that the whole pattern begins to feature the 3, 6s, and 9s, and the structure out of which comes in the universe is based on circles. Primarily everything is circular. This whole concept of the squares being fractals, it doesn't work that way in God's computer. It works with circles. That's why the atoms and the subatomic particles are circles. And the source of the circle, again, is 528. And how do we know that? What proof do we have of that? Well, you can look at the genius water scientists and sound acoustics, cymatic scientists. His name is John Stewart Reed. And years ago, I sent John a pure tone of 528 to test in water, and then take a photograph of what sacred geometry would come from that frequency. And he photographed it, and he wrote it back, and he sent it to me, and we have this featured on several of the websites. Love528.com is one place. We have several other websites that also herald this. I528 Tunes, it's on there too, where you see a 360-degree circle with 36 points in a star, uniquely made by 528. So 360-degree circle, 36 points, each 10 degrees each. That's what is created by 528 exclusively. Not 527, not 432. They have different geometries to them.
I was, recently on the tour on Big Island, and I stayed at the Kingdom of Heaven, your place there, retreat center.
Yeah.
Amazing. And I heard that Masaru Emoto was there and also did some crystal, some photography also of the water there. And it was kind of had this little spark in it, the Hawaiian spark or something. I haven't seen the photography.
Oh, you haven't seen it. It's magnificent, and it always brings tears to my eyes when I look at how magnificent this revelation is regarding water science and creation and creationism. Dr. Emoto, it's funny you should mention him. I just sent an email to him because there's a debate now going on. There's a lot of counterintelligence propagandists trying to suppress this. This is such simple information, but yet now they're trying to confuse it. There's a group, I won't mention who is responsible, but they're advancing that 432 is the real deal, not 528. That's a lot of hogwash because they're intimately connected, and we've proven that mathematically. Dr. Emoto contacted me just the other day and said, what evidence do you have that speaks to this question between 528 and 432? And so we sent him a lot, and all that information is posted on the 528records.com website under the media page. But the photographs that Dr. Emoto took from lava-heated steam on this place we call the Kingdom of Heaven, it's in Pahoa, it's our spa in Hawaii, has absolutely, certainly, beyond any reasonable health professional's knowledge, it has a fetus, an ultrasound of a fetus inside a water molecule. And for those who don't know Dr. Emoto's beautiful work, he basically has advanced the thesis that water is God and God is water, and that's what I've been saying, and from the beginning. In the book of the Bible says the same thing in Genesis, and he says that water is conscious, so it has this capacity to respond personally to you. That if you send it love, it's going to nurture you. And if you send it negative energy or evil energy, then what's going to happen is that it's not going to give you that quality of optimal sustainability. And Dr. Emoto shows that when you take a flash frozen sample of the water, in both cases, one, let's say, where you bless it with love, and the other where you curse it, you can see dramatically a change in the structuring of the water as though it does respond to your intention. And of course, for healing, what is the most powerful, and it's the same thing with Jesus said, what is the most powerful technology you could use for miraculous healing is faithful prayer. Where does faithful prayer in your being reside? It's in your heart. What other qualities are in your heart? Well, you've got faith, you've got love, you've got joy, and you've got bravery. Zero fear. So that's what 528 is. And so Dr. Emoto took some beautiful pictures of the water when he got back. He took our lava-heated steam, which sends us the message of what this beautiful property and this beautiful big island of Hawaii blesses us with, is the potential for rebirthing everything in the aloha spirit. And that's why currently we're working and praying for the Kingdom of Hawaii and the government that's advancing for a November election, this coming November of 2011, to restore the Kingdom of Hawaii from the illegal and corrupt takeover that has been administered by the United States government. They are occupying this once free nation, and that the restoration of the kingdom shall come. It is planned through the process that the entire United Nations has determined would be the way for countries to legitimately reclaim their sovereignty, which is through a free election process. So that's what's happening now. But the concept of this island and the Hawaiian Islands being central to this rebirthing of the planet, it has called a lot of people just like you, Lilu, to come here to be part of the great healing and the restoration planet-wide. And Dr. Emoto's water samples and photographs, you can actually see those if you go to breathoftheearth.net. If you go to breathoftheearth.net, I think it is, or breathoftheearth.com, I'm not quite sure right now, but breathoftheearth.net, and you'll see the website that I posted with Dr. Emoto's beautiful pictures, including the fetus, the ultrasound fetus inside of a water crystal, along with a whole series of other photographs that all reflect the microanatomy of fetal development. It's fascinating.
There's a lot of things happening in Hawaii. I even hear that there's some pyramids here, and we're finding a lot of ancient, really, even where Earth even started from, no? Or the soul comes in and out. I mean, there's all those things that we hear.
Yeah, gee whiz, nothing would surprise me about the Hawaiian Islands, especially the big island of Hawaii. The property that we are stewarding, and we have been embattled hideously. I mean, you can't imagine the demonic and criminal forces that we have faced over the last 8 years to actually free this property from the slavery and the spiritual suppression. It's been just the most trying of all of my entire life's activities. But the amazing quality of that property is that you can't be on it with your typical normal human neuroses. You bring, as a person or a couple, to this sacred land anything except clear Buddha-like, focused wisdom, consciousness. It will explode on you. It'll just blow up. It will have what is in the air. That water, that lava-heated steam, is the breath of the earth. It carries with it that sacred frequency that purges negativity and then lays out the foundation, just like the lava flow. Explosive eruption. And then you have this magnificent restoration through the soil that's formed from the lava, and suddenly, years later, you actually have the most beautiful botanical world taking root. And so this is the principal primordial spiritual energy on this property that is amplified by the fact that we are actually breathing lava-heated steam. We're actually living closer to lava-heated steam vents than anywhere else on the planet. And so the sacredness of water, the structuring of water, the message in this water of rebirth, all of this, the concept of homeopathy, carrying frequency, resonant energy to literally automatically uplift everything. Because again, that's kind of like how homeopathics work, energetics work. And it's so simple, why people are so confused about how homeopathy works is only because of the propaganda of the drug industrialists. I can take you a few feet away here. I can show you a school of fish right over here in the harbor. and you see, 1,000 fish swimming in one direction, same speed, all together, and one of those guys simply instantly changes direction. 1,000 others do the same thing. Well, that couldn't happen chemically. That has to happen electrically. There's got to be an electromagnetic vibration that moves through that water that sends the entire colony in a different direction. That's exactly how homeopathics work within the body.
Like starlings.
Yeah, exactly. So this is what we're actually heralding, along with this understanding of the musical mathematics of creation. We are part of that system, and we can use that, in fact, to heal miraculously very quickly.
Something very interesting that happened when I was visiting, actually, on Big Island, your property, is that within the next day of being in the steam room and doing a meditation there, the tour works on donation, I thought the site had been hacked, because there's been like hundreds of, that were like, $10 here and there, they were just locked in, and my webmaster had unlocked everything, and all of a sudden there's all this money pouring in.
Oh, hallelujah. That's great. Beautiful.
I was like, how interesting that money was locked somewhere, and it was not time to bring it until, that point.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, it's actually, I invite people and I warn people all the time, if you're going to come to visit us in the Kingdom of Heaven in Pahoa, Hawaii, we call it the Creator's Rainbow Spa. It took on its own name. But if you come, please be prepared. If you're not right with yourself, your higher self, if you're not right with the Creator, if you're not right and in sync with nature, you're going to have an explosion. It's like a healing crisis. In medicine, it's called the Herxheimer reaction. You're just going to have this purging, and that's exactly what the property is all about. That's exactly what's necessary. Look at what's happening in the world today. The economic collapse, the wars and rumors of wars, weather changes, earth changes. These are the end times, and it's supposed to be a purging of the negativity so we can have 1,000 years of world peace and love.
Tell us a little bit about your own spiritual journey and some of the purging that you have had to do, because that's important to mention that people learn a lot from this,
I am a basket case when it comes to discerning people. I've been very, very trusting to my disadvantage, and it's hurt me a lot to be so naive. So I am still actually going through that. We've had some really horrible things happen in the last few months that are actually fantastic for this whole concept of purging. So I am extremely thankful that I'm waking up and I'm getting out of the pattern of naivety and the pattern of simply trusting people, because I think that all people operate by nature as, loving and capable, worthy, and in integrity. And I've learned the hard way that that's not the case, and most recently that's been really a challenge for me. Personally, I think it's a breakthrough that I've been engaged in for many years, but most powerfully in the last few months, with the CIA, FBI, COINTELPRO attacking, trying to discredit me all over the internet, and they've lost. And what we've done is, and we didn't intend to do this, we didn't think about how we were going to do this. It just happened that way. And I was working, as I mentioned, with Sherry Kane, an investigative journalist and Fox News defector, in advancing a lot of these revelations and great things for 528 and a world renaissance, spiritual renaissance, when we were started to get hideously attacked by a bunch of stupid guys. I mean, literally Big Pharma's mob. And, they wrote all sorts of lies about me and stupid things about me. And it was so simple to respond to this stupidity. And it was just like taking their negativity and flipping it, making lemonade out of the lemons. And it was just like this whole concept of living a taekwondo experience, where you take negativity that's being, sent your way, and just flip it with a lot of fun and a lot of joy and a lot of love, and we blew them out. So for me, it's that's another lesson, is like, gee whiz, the wisdom of the elders and the sacred knowledge of both Oriental as well as Western world theology comes to this understanding that we are all Buddhas, we are all children of God. We're all brothers and sisters of the Messiah, Jesus. And we have this now opportunity to choose that most powerfully and assertively and literally demand from ourselves getting out of the old patterns of hypocrisy that keeps us stuck. You know, I thought I was a real smart guy. I mean, a lot of people are saying, oh, Horowitz, he's a genius. But I'll tell you, I'm an idiot when it comes to judging human behavior, even though I'm a behavioral scientist. I have a Harvard degree in behavioral science. But to apply that in my own life requires this other level of discernment. So I'm not taken advantage of constantly. So that's, you know, I guess one of my premier lessons right now.
Wow. Is there any other message or something that you would like to mention about 528 that we haven't talked about?
Oh, just again, I think that it's...
And how abundant. Tell us again how abundant and loving and amazing we are too.
Yeah, well, again, we are. I mean, we are the essence of love. Again, when you look at your heart and the heart chakra, it's greenish yellow. It's been depicted that way for millennia. And you know, Chinese Oriental medicine is 5,000 plus years old, and the chakra system is associated with this heart chakra, and that is greenish yellow. That is the reason grass is green, and it's selected this chlorophyll greenish yellow color to be optimally receptive and transmissive of love, of pure tone love from the heart of God through the heart of the rainbow to the heart of your heart. If we get into sync with that, then life becomes completely miraculous. Then you're living a synchronicity. You're living a fulfillment of your divine destiny, your divine calling. Your unique talents and gifts and qualities and capabilities are optimally expressed when you're in the flow of love that way. And the best way to most easily not only get yourself raised to that vibration of love and energy, play the music for yourself for sure. It's medicinal, it's healing. Tell all of your musicians who are friends and your vocalists who are recording artists to tune their instruments and their voices to 528 hertz. You can get more information at love528.com if you're a musician or recording artist. And you can, as a normal person, just go to the i528tunes.com or 528records.com and transpose your music and then play it. It'll be healing for you, but also it's healing for the whole planet. Because again, it's like a pebble into a pond. It's going to radiate out and it's going to touch everybody everywhere.
Well, thank you for this very juicy conversation. Thank you. And I'm excited to share this with everybody watching. And please share these type of videos. Deserve to be spread all around the world. So thank you for being part of that. And send you much love from beautiful Hawaii.
Indeed. Aloha.
Aloha.